we encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at VOPTV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264. VOPTV, Voice of the People Television.
All right, good morning and welcome back. This is Newspaper Review, and of course, it's a full house. We have my colleagues here, Jane Ogoye, Chukuma Okoro, and we have the analyst, Dele Fanimo, and Mazi Amobi Iheburu. Gentlemen, welcome
good morning
back.
once again.
Welcome back. So, we'll be going into the dailies right away, and the big story, of course, let's see how it's reported in most of the dailies this morning. Electoral Act 2026. Tinubu defends assent. Opposition raises hell. PDP, LP raise red flags. Tinubu defies protests as APC predicts credible poll. All right. And then The Guardian, well, that's from the Punch newspaper. The Guardian has its own report, says 2027 credibility battle shifts to INEC as Tinubu signs Amendment Electoral Act. We'll go into the riders much later. When it's time to analyze. And then this day report says electoral law according to APC, signed, sealed, delivered. Tinubu declares amendment not about politics, but process. Akpabio, Electoral Act amendment will ensure every vote counts. End result manipulation. It will end it. Abbas, presidential NAS polls to now hold January 2027. Okay, moved back. ADC mocks APC, says party afraid of free, fair polls. PDP, it's treacherous betrayal of Nigerians. All right, so that's basically what you would find in most of the dailies today, talking about the signing of the Electoral Act 2026. But let's listen to the president. Let's watch the president where he signed and the statement he made right after the signing of that one. And then we'll get into breaking it down.
Please.
All right, unfortunately, we don't have the audio, but that was where the president signed where he signed the Electoral Act into law. Gentlemen, now let me flip the pages, to give us better context. Let's see the riders as put out there by the Guardian newspaper. So these are the riders to the story. Assent formalizes legal framework days after INEC unveils election timetable. President hails rigorous process, insists manual collation remains central. Opposition decries swift signing, warns of transparency loopholes. Amendment betrayal, says PDP. False removal of mandatory e-transmission. LP caucus queries speed of assent, hints at mobilization, insinuating that monies, went round. SDP chieftain Adebayo alleges hatchet job, signals constitutional challenge. Afenifere Ohaneze raise fears over 2027 integrity. Civic group demands probe, threatens nationwide resistance. Wike backs Tinubu, dismisses criticism as politically motivated. Civic advocate flags funding cuts, transmission ambiguity as key risks. Well, these are the riders to the story as put out there by the Guardian newspaper. Mr. Fanimo, I'd like you to... Yeah. The president said a lot of things. Unfortunately, we were unable to, play that one where he talked about how credible this will make our elections be, how this will reduce going to court and all of that, all the things that happen during elections will be dealt with, how this is in the interest of the people and not just about politics, but about, the people having no one being disenfranchised and all of that. But some Nigerians feel differently about it, especially the minority in the House of Reps, in the House, those that were chanting the other time, calling APC unprintable names and all of that. Does it seem like the president is in a world of his own where he doesn't really see or feel what the people are feeling? I mean, that was signed right after Nigerians were protesting at the National Assembly gate and they were tear gassed.
See, I went through the amended acts as a layman anyway, because I'm not a lawyer. So let me give that caveat before I start. And one thing I've seen in the amendment is the fact that some ambiguous areas were cleaned out. We suggested that it will not be a feast for litigants and their lawyers to use technicalities to overturn elections. But where I differ is the fact that we Nigerians, we know ourselves. No matter how watertight a law seems, the very first day of that law being enacted, Nigerians go to their closet to look for loopholes on how to manipulate the law for their selfish interest. And this one is not going to be an exception. Like I said earlier in the program, I said, look, the fact that you said manual transmission takes effect if there is no opportunity of e-transmission real time is a wide opportunity for politicians to manipulate election. Why do I say this? When it was enacted that to curb the excesses of politicians who decamp from one party to another party at their whims and caprices, they said the only way you can decamp from party A to party B is only when there is crisis or faction. But they didn't envisage that it is human factor that creates faction, not the name of the party, but people in the party. Crises in the party are orchestrated by the politicians in the party. What do we have today? almost all the parties, apart from APC, now have factions. So because they have factions at state level, at world level, at national level, it is very easy for any politician to decamp to any party of his choice. Now, the new electoral law says where IREV and BVAS are not possible, then you resort to Form EC8A, which technically means people will work against the electronic transmission from functioning. And now they can go as far as manipulating the telecom operators. They can go as far as inducing the man that is protecting the mast that is nearest to the polling unit. And what does it require for a politician to induce the man that is manning the mast and switching off the mast for a period of time, pretending that there is no diesel to power the mast? And technically, IREV and BVAS will not function at that particular time. And then there will be enough justification to say, since electronic transmission is impossible, you can all see. And do you know that you can acquire technology that has been existing for more than 20, 25 years? Because I recall that those days when I was covering money market, when Soludo as CBN governor comes to Lagos Island, CBN office in Lagos Island for MPC meeting, Monetary Policy Committee meeting. The moment he gets to that meeting, he has a device in his hand. Once he switches on the device, within a kilometer radius of that place, no network works. Until when he finishes his meeting and leaves, that's when that thing is switched on, and you now see it cuts across all networks. So why are we saying that you are going to monitor all these politicians who have enough money to access this device to manipulate election? That is where my worry is. In practicality, it is still a very good and clear opportunity to rig election.
All right.
Yeah, let me take it from the House of Representatives, who in their wisdom capitulated when, their steadfastness, was needed, as it were. Recall that in December 2025, they voted for e-transmission of results, real time. So the question is, what happened between that December and yesterday? As at that time, their decision cut across party lines, cut across ethnic divides, and what have you. But yesterday, day before yesterday, we saw the fault lines, party lines, ethnic lines, and what have you, played out. So what happened? What it tells me is that probably they were twisted by their party to, take the decision, they took. And the Nigerian people are worse for it. That was an opportunity for us to have liberated this country, electoral system. But it was bungled to the advantage of a minority few. We are getting back to victory or political position is not served a la carte. You grab it, snatch it, and run with it. That is where we are heading to again. If we had, gotten, the Nigerian people have gotten what they wanted, the power could have also resided with the Nigerian people. That is how it should be. And you could have seen politicians walking the talk. It's no longer rhetorics. No one will come and tell you there is no vacancy here. No one will come and tell you this is the man that will go and all that. All those things could have been a thing of the past. We would have moved forward in our election systems. But it has all been boggled. So what it means is that we are going back, just like Dele said, that thing will not work. The network will not work on that day for whatever reason. But if we had signed that the network will work, it will work. Yes. Yes, it will work. You see that it must work.
Now,
because even the INEC must ensure that it works, because their name is also,
will be at stake then.
Yeah, will be at stake.
Some have said this might put the lives of polling
Agents,
officers
Yeah.
in trouble, because if they say, "Oh, it's not working," that's why we can't use it, and then people check their phones and they say, "Oh, there's network bar," and they call one another when it goes through. You think they might want to?
You see,
aggressive.
one problem we wanted to solve with the electronic transmission of result was killings during the election, ballot snatching. Because when you snatch the ballot, assuming the person do not want to give it to you, the electoral officer is insisting. There are evidence. There are this thing that you have been somebody can maim you in an attempt to snatch the ballot box, or even kill you in the process. All those things could have been a thing of the past, because even if you snatch the ballot box, you are not going to do anything with it. But we have allowed, one of my friends said the son should not do, what is it called, INEC ad hoc jobs, because it is fraught with a lot of risk. Recall that I think INEC is now paying youth corpers 107,000 for electoral duties and all that. And it's very, very attractive for these young men and women. Now, parents are saying,
the tension surrounding it, but I doubt if he's going to do that, because a lot more Nigerians are, weighing in on it and saying, well, it's too quick for comfort. And but the way we go in Nigeria, by the time something happens, maybe we'll just be told that, oh, the refinery can work again. We'll leave the Amendment Act, Electoral Act Amendment, and go back to the issue of the moment, and that one will take a back seat. But in all of this, I want to examine the president's statement. The president said he said in that headline that Moses read, at some point the president hails rigorous process, insists manual collation remains central. Now, I went back to look at the meaning of rigor, rigorous, and it's not different from what I used to know. So, and I'm looking at, I went back in time to, was there at any point where there was a public hearing on this amendment? There might have been, but I can't remember. The public hearing, the public hearing I know is about the amendment of the whole constitution. I can't remember. I can't recall when.
No, there was public hearing. This
hearing.
issue started. This issue started in September 2024.
When Benjamin
and they had
Carlo was
27 consultations nationwide.
Public hearings.
And that was why Akpabio said in his that they did consultations. They are not forced to abide by those consultations.
Okay. Now, I'm still interrogating that word, rigorous, because I know that at some point, I think there are also another amendment process that is ongoing in National Assembly.
That is for general...
good. That's the one I recall, that there was public hearing. If there was this one, honestly, I can't recall.
There was.
But that's it. Now, when the president said rigorous, rigorous in the sense that, there was public hearing, and they went back to the House of Representatives. The House of Representatives passed the e-transmission compulsory.
It was rigorous for the House to come back to say, what we passed before we want to...
So that is the rigor. That's the rigor that I'm trying to interpret, and all of that. And Akpabio also said, we have done a lot of work on this. So maybe the back and forth is what they interpreted as rigor. The fact that Nigerians were pushing them, no, this is not what we want.
They were tear-gassing Nigeria.
They were tear-gassing Nigeria. It's all part of the rigor. So most likely the president was right when he used the word rigorous. And again, the president said that manual collation will be central.
What does that say?
What does that tell you? The president has just told Nigerians that we are not going to use e-transmission. It's instructive.
Very, very.
When he said that, I had expected the president to say that e-transmission would be central and that manual will serve as backup. But he reversed it to say that manual coalition will be central. The president has simply told us.
And you don't think it was a slip of the lip?
They would have corrected it if it was a slip.
If it was, the handlers could have, corrected
And that brings me to the fact that, people that handle our president, his minders, his handlers, they don't do a good job of it. I'm very sorry to say that. The way the president comes out to say things, some of them are not well thought out. Before a president,
It should be briefed.
it should be briefed, and there should be this kind of interagency cooperation, where between the speechwriter and if it's about politics, the political advisor should be there to, sound out how that would pan out within the political world. If it is economy, how the economic community, the business community will react to all of that. But they don't do that. They just give somebody a brief to write. But at some point, I did speech writing for a particular governor. And when they push it through the governor, and the governor says, okay, I will insist, no. Bring the political advisor, bring the economic advisor, let us judge on all of these things. And by the time we do interagency, we discover that, well, there are things I shouldn't have said that was said. And we go back to it. And at that point, if the governor comes out with that speech, it will look near perfect. But I see that lacking, in what the president's minders do. Because a lot of things that they do, even in my own little space, I find problems with a lot of them. So this is I don't know how this is going to happen. The opposition, are they mobilizing? I don't know if they are mobilizing. The CSOs, are they mobilizing? I don't know if they are mobilizing. But the fact that the president hurriedly, signed this thing into law, we have this back and forth. Sometimes a bill is passed, and when we asked about that bill, they tell us that,
they're working on it.
It's been on the president's table, for waiting assent and all of that. But this one is less than 24 hours. I mean, there should be something to it all. But let's see how it pans out in the coming days and in the coming weeks.
But
there is danger.
Yeah, that tells us, what the speed with which it was assented to, and the speech after the signing, and a whole lot of things, depicts, that these things have been, already, decisions about it have already been taken, as it were. They're just waiting for time to fulfill it. Yes, working to answer. So it is left for Nigerians to look at it and, tell themselves that how can my employee begin to dictate to the employer, what happens and all that. If you know too well about the subject matter, you should have been the employer, and all that. That is what we see in private settings. You can't know more than you are. Even if you know, you look at it, you judge or you put it on the table for a proper decision to be taken. So our employees are now telling us that they know what is good for us, as it were. And that is very unfortunate. It is regrettable that we have gotten to this point. I do not know how we can face other countries in the Committee of Nations. How would they? I think there are areas they compare notes. If I'm a manager in my company, I go for meeting in similar companies within the sector, we compare notes and all that. So there are things, if Nigeria go into Committee of Nations, how do they compare notes? How do they, because this thing has gone viral, it's everywhere in the world that the government has blocked something that could have given 75-80% transparency in the electoral process. So how would they now face Committee of Nations? And when somebody tells you you are a pariah nation, you are an asshole, you are this, you begin to take quarrel. Or when people speak, you say they are demarketing Nigeria. That is what you are doing. The government has succeeded in demarketing this country. And you see in few days to come, the deluge of their spokespeople will begin to rationalize this irrationality. All right, then.
Well, let's move away from that conversation. We'll probably get that video and play before the end of today's conversation. But let's look at a few other headlines here. IPAC, Obi Flay police clampdown, tear gas of protesters at National Assembly. Holy month, Tinubu Obi urged spiritual reflection, commitment to shared humanity. Reps fault poor funding of security intelligence. And FCT polls. INEC pledges e-transmission of results. Mixed reaction. Protests trail Delta APC World Congresses. Gencos reject NLC's extortion claims. Say sector battling 6 trillion naira on paid bills. I'd like for us to dive into this particular headline. And yes, there's another story I would like us to touch on before, but let's touch on this and then we'll go to the Niger Delta and then touch on the story of some shipments, some people extracting crude at the Niger Delta. But Gencos reject NLC's extortion claim, says sector battling 6 trillion naira unpaid bills. All right. So that's this is the Gencos are saying that look, they are being owed about 6 trillion naira, and some Nigerians are saying that's exactly why we don't have power, because Gencos are being owed. But then if you look at it, this is, I mean, it's not in the report, but if you look critically at it, you realize that the money out of this 6 trillion that Gencos are being owed, government is owing more than half of it. Government and its agencies are owing more than half.
How do you reconcile the issue, this issue that the president said, if I do not give you electricity in the next 4 years, don't vote for me?
Well, 4 years has not elapsed.
4 years has not elapsed. We are in 2 3/4 years or something. Is that?
He said he was smart. He said 4 years.
Okay, you said 4
We
years.
didn't interrogate that according to the list. When they said they will give us change, we didn't
as if it's good or bad change. So, now, 4 years will terminate on May 29th.
By then, the election will have been won and lost.
No, we might start another round of election.
But if you look at it from the point of view of the fact that electricity generator doesn't happen just like that, you have to put it here. There is what they call time for waiting time for things to happen. You will see it incrementally, build up. Are we seeing that incremental build up to ensuring that electricity in the next 4 years, as promised by Mr. President, is achievable?
My concern in all of this, what most is read at, my concern is that Nigerians are saying, well, Gencos is because we are being owed, that is why we don't have light. That is not the information we have out there. The information we have out there is they even generate more that we can consume, and we're even wasting what they generate.
Because there's no
uptake
from
the transmission companies. So I find it difficult to.
As of today, you can't wheel more than 4,500 megawatts
into the national grid, otherwise it will collapse.
And these people are producing between 7,500 and 8,000.
So the ones that they produce, who do they sell to?
That is it. It's wasted, and because government.
How do you also reconcile the fact that these things are given to neighboring countries?
Exactly. Even the neighboring
countries
are owing us.
Yeah. But they also have stable power supply more than we do.
So there is systemic decay. There is a problem within the system.
They went to their own grid.
Their
own grid is stable.
And their own grid is stable. You understand? You see, the whole lot of all of this is central on the transmission components of this chain. No matter how good the Gencos are, no matter how effective and efficient they are, if the transmission, which is standing between production and consumption, is not rectified, we are going nowhere.
Are you saying that the transmission is the weakest link in the system?
It's the weakest link.
That's it.
It's
the weakest link. Look, the transmission lines you see, those things we call power line. Those high tension wire, yes. Do you know that they are between 30 and 40 years old?
Some older than that.
Even some older than that. Those were the things that they did during ECN, Electricity Corporation of Nigeria, before the transformation to NEPA. Before PSCN. Before the unbundling. So now you imagine how a B2 car will run a race with a G-Wagon today. How do you think it will work? Most of these equipment manufacturers have packed up. So we just if you see any B2 car on the road today, something will tell you that
How did they get this part? It's either they bring a whole vehicle to spare parts shop, dismantle it, cannibalize and begin to sell in bits to the owners of this car, because there is no manufacturing end.
Do you know the problem we have as a nation? The problem we have as a nation that at some transition point we failed to transit, and we are still making that same mistake.
Same mistake up to today.
You know why? People that built other countries, were futuristic, but we just dwelt on the immediate, and that is the problem we are still having today. At some point we had rolling plans. At some point, we had national development plans. Now, what were the components of these national development plans? If you go back, we had economists, who understood what they call the Malthusian theory of population and all of that. With the way our population was growing, we failed to plan for those populations. We didn't do all of that. If we had a population of assumption 100 million in
like 20 years ago.
Like 20 years ago. The people in government should have known that geometrically we will be like 230 now. Now, did you make provision for that?
The additional 130.
We didn't do that. Jen said something in the morning where we were doing the banters on the morning show. Nigeria is a place, where we plan after building instead of planning before building. So what happens? Somebody will now come and build on a waterway. And after 6 years, the government brings it down. They say, the government doesn't like my face. Meanwhile, at some point, you broke the law. So we didn't fail. The mistake we brought Siemens, Siemens.
Yes, Siemens,
from Germany.
And we first brought Manitoba.
Politics got involved.
Yes.
They packed their things and left. We brought Siemens. Now, Siemens has been going back and forth. And when Obi went to Egypt, he discovered that it was the same Siemens that did their own, and they did it in less than 2 years. Yeah. But for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, you know what we were doing? We were setting up committee on top of committee. We'll set up one committee, and then another committee will be set up to review what the other committee
When you don't want anything to work in Nigeria, you set up.
You just set up committees. Time wasting. So we are still we jettisoned Vision 2000. We jettisoned Vision 2020. Do we have any vision now?
No one
we don't even have any vision. We don't even have any vision. So that is just the major
That is why
problem
people
that
have said, when people say, look, for any person to aspire to be the leader of this country, you must have some reasonable level of education. It doesn't really matter what it is, but at least you have a discerning mind. If someone explains things to you, you will understand it. Some other people have also said, look, before you can aspire to be the leader of a country like Nigeria, you must have led a multinational company. These are issues. This experience is not gotten on the street. They are accumulation of things that have happened to you. That is why some people can sit down here and understand what is going on outside without even going there to see themselves. So what I'm saying in effect is that this idea of, I don't know whether this electoral has captured this issue of debate as compulsory for leaders. Rigorous debate. Not this one somebody will feel I'm top of the world. Nobody can call me for a chat. Or you corner your own group of, people and then do your own media chat and all that. What that exposes in developed societies is you are being tested, your mental ability to relate, connect the dots of development is being tested.
But Mazi, when you were saying that, something just came to mind that, yes, those indices are good, but don't you think we need somebody who is ready to step on toes? Because really, you could be educated,
yes,
have all of those technocrats.
That is where their political will, the much counted political will comes in.
Do you think, because even when we talk about Obi, a lot of people also said, even if Obi comes into power, let's say he wins the election, gets into power, the same system would frustrate him. Even his followers will get fed up because there's a lot of rots. So do you really think the issue, because I'm just putting you on the spot, do you really think the issue is having that business sense running Nigeria like a typical, conglomerate, or do you think it's a political will? Because I don't see anybody being able to do that because of the forces.
Now that you have brought Obi into the picture, I want to tell you that Obi will take decisions that will hurt a whole lot of people, and he wouldn't care. He will take that decision. He has what it takes to take that decision, even if it means stepping on toes.
Okay.
It's
interesting. It's interesting. We had this conversation in an academic class recently. We talked about what is the problem of Nigeria. Is it systemic, or is it a leadership problem? And I think this argument will go on and on. Some will say it's a leader. Exactly. Some will say it's leadership. If we get the right leadership, if we get the right person there, they will make a difference. Some will say it's systemic. No matter who is there, you will need to work with certain people.
Exactly.
It's a simple answer. There's a simple answer.
What's the answer?
Nations rise and fall at the feet of leadership. It takes a good leader to fix the system.
It takes a good leader to fix the
system. The system cannot fix itself. Nobody wants to.
Leader. Who is a good leader?
Nobody.
In Nigeria, do we
nobody wants to move out of his comfort zone.
To fix the system. Sack all the civil servants under him.
You don't need to sack.
You don't need to make examples.
You don't need to sack all of them. You just need to.
You see, when Buhari came,
when
Buhari came in the first instance, there was a law in government businesses. People said this is a no-nonsense man. People went into their cocoons. They didn't want to come out. They said, let us know where the pendulum is swinging to. Let us say another. But within a short period of time, people now came out and begin to do what they know best how to do. So what we are saying is that it will be very difficult, very tough for that Nigerian to fix this Nigeria. But and he cannot fix it in a term. It can take 20 years. But incrementally, there will be progress.
All right, then.
Lay the foundation, and then from there you take off.
All right.
Moses. I want to say quite a few things. Now, when Moses talked about education, for every generalization you make about Nigeria, about Africa, there's always an exception. Level of education, we had a doctorate holder, PhD. What did we get?
That's what I'm saying. I said a whole lot of things. I said you should have a designing mind, and you must have headed a multinational company. What happens in multinational is akin to what happens in a country, a nation, where you have multiple issues. You need to understand how they work. Even the one you don't understand, because there is no way you can understand everything, know everything. You ask questions and begin to. So it takes a whole lot gamut of this. Political will is one central thing that will see this, and then understanding. Because why you see some of this back and front. If you bring out, our leaders, would they be able to explain some of these decisions they have taken in terms of subsidy is gone? Put the leaders on the spot and let them explain to you.
The argument may be that they have advisors.
Let them explain. No, you must have to
have the knowledge.
Most importantly, a leader should be able to understand and assimilate a particular concept. You understand what I'm saying? It's not just advice. You are not bound by the advice given to you by your advisors.
Okay.
You must know the subject matter. That is what I'm saying.
Okay.
If you don't know the subject matter, you cannot take vital decisions.
Absolutely. Oh, well. I promised to bring you that video where the president signed the Electoral Act into the Electoral Bill into law. And so we'll take that one for as long as we can and then wrap up the program. Let's take this one.
Sit there.
I followed keenly what you are doing. The essence of democracy is to have, very solid brainstorming discussions committed to national development and nation building, the stability of the nation. You are not going to be talking to the computer, you are going to be talking to human beings who will announce the final results. And when you look at the crux of various arguments, maybe Nigeria should question our broadband capability. How technically are we today? How technically will we be tomorrow to answer the call of, either read time or no? And as long as you appear personally as a manual voter in any polling booth, but ballot paper is given to you manually, you decide in a corner and fingerprint, thumbprint the party of your choice, you cast your vote without hindrance and any interference. Ballots are subsequently counted manually, sorted and counted manually. It's just the arithmetic accuracy that is entered into from easy. It's the manual, essentially. The transmission of that manual result is what we're looking at. And we need to avoid glitches. I'm glad you did. Interference, unnecessary hacking in this age of, computer inquisitiveness. Nigeria will be there. We will flourish. We will continue to nurture this democracy for the fulfillment.
So Nigeria will be there. We will continue to nurture this democracy. The words of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Well, that video is quite lengthy. It's about I think 4-5 minutes long. We'll probably play that one for you right after the conversation, so you get a full grasp of what the president said, basically, to the members of the National Assembly that brought the bill to him for assent. Well, gentlemen, let's have in a few minutes. We have 2-3 minutes left.
Just one word. The president says that we are trying to nurture democracy, and from what I understand by nurture, like a mother trying to nurture a newborn baby, or a child, you can nurture with. There are some people that nurture with Gary and
Pap.
No, Guguru and Ekpa. There are some people that nurture with oats.
Okay.
There are some people that nurture with custard and pap and milk and all of that, and the results are clearly different when they grow up.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
You
So
can't,
we are nurturing
you can't
ours
say
with what's
that
now?
a woman is frowning. That is not.
And we are nurturing ours with what? What are we nurturing ours with?
My closing salvo here is that the president inadvertently, demarketed the government by saying that the broadband capacity.
That's what we should question.
Yes, in a system, in a country, in the 21st century, the president is saying we don't have it, and there is no commitment to having it. Elsewhere, we have found out that we have network presence in about 93%. Some people have put it at 97%. So what is Mr. President talking about? I think they are very comfortable with what they have done. This is an indictment on his administration for not providing capacity, broadband capacity in the 21st century. That's my take.
Mr. Fanimo.
What else am I going to say?
Let's say something.
It's like a loose cannon. There's no way you can tame it, because the landmine has been laid,
Right.
and politicians are very adept at, working on the landmines. So,
All right, this is
but the
where
only
we'll
problem I have with it will precipitate violence.
precipitate violence.
And more importantly, how many people are there during the signing?
If you
What are they there for?
and
somebody has to carry the fight. Somebody has to.
This is elsewhere as done seamlessly. You don't even know when
do the clapping.
You don't even know when they are done. This is how they also go to airports and begin to wait for the president to come. When he comes back,
are you going to stop the?
We should stop this type of
from being
rubbish.
part of this signing.
We should stop this type of
Is it the Senate
or the House Speaker,
or the House Speaker,
or the political advisor on Senate?
We'll let Nigerians and our viewers, watch that in its entirety as we lead up to sports that comes up on top of the hour, 11 o'clock. But this is where we drop anchor. Thank you very much, Daily Fanimu, for coming on the program. He's a reporter and also a public affairs commentator. Amazi Amobi Iheburu, also, thank you very much, public affairs commentator. Thank you for coming here. And my colleagues, I must say thank you very much. Jane Ogoye, Chukuma Okoro, who makes a comeback later tonight at 6 p.m. on Political Lens. And I'm sure he will touch on this and other issues around the polity as well. I am Moses Humphrey, wishing you a beautiful day. Bye for now. We'll leave you with this video of the president signing the Electoral Act into law, Electoral Bill into law.
Broadband capability. How technically are we today? How technically will we be tomorrow to answer the call of, either read time or no? And as long as you appear personally as a manual voter in any polling booth, but ballot paper is given to you manually, you decide in a corner and fingerprint, thumbprint the party of your choice, you cast your vote without hindrance and any interference. Ballots are subsequently counted manually, sorted and counted manually. It's just the arithmetic accuracy that is entered into from easy eating. It's still manual, essentially. And the transmission of that manual result is what we're looking at. And we need to avoid glitches. I'm glad you did. Interference, unnecessary hacking in this age of, computer inquisitiveness. Nigeria will be there. We will flourish. We will continue to nurture this democracy for the fulfillment of our dream for prosperity and stability of our country. I thank all of you very much.
In a world where power shifts with every headline.
In a nation full of questions.
In a world filled with noise, the truth needs a voice.
The policies that shapes our world and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing.
And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world, because your voice is our focus.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
Africa is on the move. continent of rising voices, untold stories, and powerful transformations. From the streets of Lagos to the heart of Nairobi, from the mines of Congo to the tech labs of Cape Town, the African story is being written every day.